I think there's a lot of positives you can pull from it. I mean, we wrestled 90% of our schedule. Our team finished fifth in the Big Ten. We had a good conference tournament. So you did get good feedback on how much you've improved throughout the year. So that stuff's good. And really, with sports, it's more about the process of how you're getting to where you're going than the actual destination. Winning a national title is great, but more important than the title itself is all the work it took to get there and the traits that you had to pick up and, where your coaches have instilled in you and your work ethic and relationships with teammates. So all those things are still intact, and you can still live your life the same way, with these restrictions as you would any other time. So, you can still go outside and run. You can still do pull-ups, push-ups. If you got a bike at your house, you can bike. If you go outside, you can do your stance and motion stuff in the grass, which people might look at you like you're crazy, but you can do that.
We're all looking at each other like we're crazy at this point in time. So, yeah, I think to each their own. I mean, you don't have to touch on everything, but just what has this whirlwind been like for you guys when here we are? I think you guys broke a record again for the most. You had 8 NCAA entries, which broke the program's record for the second straight year under Coach Ersland. And then from that and the highs of that until obviously that news is announced that there isn't even going to be an NCAAs, just kind of how much did you guys have to grapple with everything that was happening as it was happening?
Yeah, I think it was a tough time because you're training for a national tournament as if it's going to happen. And I think they canceled it on Thursday. So on Wednesday night, you see an NBA basketball game get stopped in the middle of the game. And then the National Basketball Association suspends their season. So you see that, and then you still have to go train the next day as if you're going to have a national tournament. But in the back of your mind, there's a little bit of doubt that, they're even going to have a tournament. So that was kind of tough to deal with, but it didn't really feel real until they officially told you, hey, you're not going to be able to wrestle in the tournament, and we don't know if people are getting years back, and they're not going to postpone it. It's just done. So that I would say that took 4 or 5 days for most guys to really understand that, your season's over and there is no national tournament. And that was the weird part. And then most guys went home, so you're kind of thrown out of your routine. And then just the process of getting back to a steady routine where you're working out and you're building towards your goals. You're still visualizing your goals and writing things down, working out, getting on your school again. That's difficult to do right after that.
Everybody's disappointed, obviously, but for you to get a chance, you hear your name called when they're doing these preliminary brackets and stuff. You get the pigtail match. It's a simple question. The answer is just a little bit different for everybody, but how excited were you just at the opportunity, just to go see it as a competitor rather than somebody that's just watching it on TV or live in the arena?
Yeah, I was feeling good. I was happy with where my wrestling was going. I was definitely getting better as the year went on. I had some matches that I didn't perform the way I wanted to, but overall my performances were getting better as the year went on, and I was excited to build on that after training for a week and a half between Big Tens and Nationals. And, I was excited for an opportunity to see what was going to happen, to perform at the best of my ability and see where that took me. In my head, I had high goals, and I thought I was going to do really well, but what I think doesn't really matter anymore, so I was excited for an opportunity.
I know that our Slim Kimmel came out and chatted with you about a month and a half-ish ago, and you talked a lot about growth, but not just as the wrestler, but as the student and having fun with buddies on campus and stuff like that. How much, even from that time that he chatted with you until now, have you continued to see that growth?
Quite a bit. I would say at that time I was just starting to get a little bit of consistency in my performances. That weekend I think I went 0-2 in duels. But, I think as the year went on, my results were getting better. And you could see, not just from the results of the matches, but I was wrestling at a much higher level than I had been. And it was becoming more consistent. So I think that was reflected in my school as well and relationships with coaches. So I think trust between me and my coaches was at an all-time high, and I was just excited with where everything was going. But none of that really changes. There's just it's a different course now.
Well, you can blame Slim for the weekend results. He's just bad luck overall. He went to Kentucky senior night, and they were up by like 17 and ended up losing. So we don't send him anywhere anymore. We're done with that. You talk about, there's disappointment on the one hand, but there has to be, and you just kind of talked about it, that motivation. Look, nobody's goals are going anywhere. In fact, they may be heightened and increased. Everybody's going to have a chip on their shoulder once you guys are allowed to resume, in the weight room, in the training room, on the mats, whatever it might be. Everybody's got that chip now, it seems like.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting time when you're thinking about guys improving from now until next March, because we're going to have a break that's most likely at least a month, and who really knows how long it'll be. So you've got, a 1/12 of a year at least where guys are training on their own. So you really get to see who is all in and who's going to live the right lifestyle all the time when people aren't on top of them, and who isn't. And this is a great time to gain some ground on people. So it'll be interesting to see what happens between now and next March. And I think this period is super important for everybody.
What are those things that you would like to improve on between now and then? No matter what this hiatus is, we don't know, like you said, but there's got to be things that you're already thinking about that could make you a better wrestler.
Yeah, there's some technical things that I'd like to work on, and we'll get back on those when I get in the room. But for what we have right now, I'm gonna get stronger. There's a couple matches where I didn't think I was the strongest guy out there, so we'll do a lot of pull-ups. Keeping in good shape and improving on my shape. I thought last year I was in much better shape than I was the previous year, and that's something that I'm really looking to build on. So I'm going to be putting a lot of miles on my running shoes and hitting the bike and getting some sprint work in. So a lot of that kind of thing, but bigger than any of that is just working on my mind and, writing my goals down, visualizing what it's going to be like to reach my goals next March and what it takes to get there, and so nothing really shocks you when you see it.
Hard to believe it's been 3 years since we saw you throwing up 4 fingers at Metra.
Yes, it went quick.
Just kind of nut. Do you keep tabs on what's happening back here during Montana's wrestling season? I mean, you're busy, obviously, but when you get a chance, do you see who won 4? Do you see who's now got a couple in a row? Do you see what the Blue Ponies are up to now that Dad's sitting in the stands instead of down in the chairs?
I've got a little bit of an idea. Like I'll keep tabs on some guys, and if a guy's doing really well, I'll ask my dad if we need to be on him at Purdue and try to get him out here. So I have a good idea of who the best guys in the state are. Guys back home at Havre, I usually know what they're doing. Some of those guys I still wrestled with when I was a senior, so got a good idea of what's going on there. And then I still keep in touch with all the coaches I had in high school, Bo LaSalle and Chad Edgar, Cliff Springer, those guys.
We don't know what's going to happen, but what's the schooling looking like? I imagine that's kind of changing every day as well as you guys try and get set to close out the semester and go into the summer break.
Yeah, I'm still kind of not sure. We're on our spring break right now, and the professor said that they would send an email this week to let us know exactly what it's going to be, but it's looking like some WebEx meetings for your smaller classes. If you've got a class of 10 people, you're going to have a WebEx meeting for however long that is. And then some professors are just throwing all their coursework online. Some of our final projects had to get modified because we don't have access to the computer labs at Purdue. And so it's kind of a fiasco, but we'll see what happens.
For sure. What's your summer going to look like if we throw all this stuff aside and it's a normal summer? What are those months off, quote unquote months off, going to look like?
Normal summer, you got either a run or a lift in the morning and then a practice in the afternoon, 5 days a week. So you get about 10 to 12 workouts a week. There'll be a day off and there's no work. But 10 to 12 workouts a week. And this summer I'm going to be an intern for Shield Sexton, the big general contractor out of Indianapolis. And I'll be working on the Purdue Union Hotel renovation. So going to be putting my degree to work a little bit.
Nice. Kind of nice to do that early, right?
Yeah. No, it's nice to get some experience and kind of see what it's going to be like to get out and be an adult and have a real job for a little bit. So it should be fun.